All right, we're back with another great episode of PFREI, a passion for real estate investments. I'm your host, Fuquan Bilal, and I have a special guest all the way here from Australia. Salena Kulkarni is an Amazon best-selling author, a chartered accountant, and certified property investment advisor. She started her career as an accountant with a firm called Deloitte before working for a series of multinational companies over the world. She has been an avid property investor for 2 decades. That's why we have on the show. After realizing the leverage of time and finance that property investing could create, Salena became massively enthused, driving her to invest the time, energy, and money to become an expert in the field. She's passionate for helping others who want to use their hard-earned income to amplify their wealth via property. She now works as a property strategist and a mentor to help people fast-track their success with property investing with attention to their unique situation, risk profile, goals, and means. Her latest program, Freedom Warrior, I like that name, is a mastermind designed to expose people to a new world of property investing and insights into strategies normally reserved for the ultra wealth. Now, she's part of the Phoenix Wealth Group, right? And this is a mastermind that you created, would you say, with Wealth Velocity that you were saying? Did I get it right?
Yeah, so the goal is to, in Australia anyway, the traditional view of wealth is that if you're going to invest in property, it'll take you a good 20 or 30 years to get the sort of outcomes that you want. And, you know, in my mind, that's just too long. So the goal of our program is to help people create freedom in a much shorter time frame. So usually within sort of 5 years is our goal.
So you actually started off in the corporate world, and then you realized that, I guess, doing real estate is freedom. Now, let's talk about real estate in Australia. Now, I know there's some Australian investors investing in America, in the U.S. Basically, I guess the returns may be better over here, or just more diversity. I'm not sure. What's happening over there in that market? Are any of the investors in your group currently investing in the United States, or are they just heavily invested in Australia?
Look, there is a huge difference between the real estate market here and in the US. The first primary difference is that your cost of real estate is so much more affordable than ours. Our average house price is up around $800,000. It's very, you know, it's almost unheard of that you would purchase property outright here. It's almost impossible to access without leverage. And combine that with the fact that the yield or the rental income that you can earn from a property is significantly lower. So when you marry those two things up, the people who invest in this market, they're relying solely on capital growth. It's not a cash flow market the way it is in the States. So that's the big difference. So can you make money here? For sure. But you need, it's a big, slow asset here. So you have to have some dollars behind you to get involved here.
Awesome. Let's talk about this book. What drove you to write a book? And I mean, because this is a lot of work. I mean, I just finished my third book. I know it takes time blocking and some serious, inner thoughts and really being creative. What made you write the book, and talk a little bit about the book?
Look, I've had a philosophy which probably it goes against the grain of what most people speak in the property world over here. You know, most people here are saying, buy Australian assets, eventually they'll go up, and asking people to tolerate the financial pain of negatively cash flowing assets in lieu of capital growth. And you know, I've been kind of singing from a different song sheet for a while, and I guess the book was, it was just an opportunity to kind of, I guess, express a different philosophy and a different way of thinking. And yeah, I guess the book for me was cathartic as well. It was kind of like part of my evolution as a teacher and as an investor, and I wanted to just capture that in a written format.
That's awesome. Now, real estate investing, we know it has its challenges. It's not as straight through. It has its ups and downs. When did you actually get started in the transition from the busy professional into real estate? How many years ago was that? I'm trying to figure out if you've been market cycle tested yet.
Oh yeah, no, I've been. Have I made some losses? Absolutely. No, look, for me, becoming an accountant was always a bit of a strange choice in the first place. I actually wanted to be a vet all the way through school. I was like, I'm going to be a vet. I'm going to be a veterinarian. And it wasn't until I finally did some work experience at a veterinary hospital in my final years of school that I realized it wasn't really the career. I mean, apart from the fact that I can't stand the sight of blood, which didn't help, it was just not the sort of, I mean, I saw just the same stuff over and over, and there wasn't as much variety and glamour as I thought. And so I fell into accounting as kind of like, I'll do this until I figure out what I want to do. And, several years later, I realized I was a, square peg in a round hole. And I can do it. I'm okay as an accountant. I get it. But it just lacked the creativity and, I guess, freedom that I kind of wanted to design in my life. And at the same time, my husband had introduced me to property. He was the one who was really pro-investing, and I was really anti-investing in property. I was really fearful about it. I didn't understand it. But eventually I started to realize I was making more money through my property investing than I was with my job. And I ran a whole lot of other businesses. I definitely feel I have an entrepreneurial streak. I set up day spas and consultancy businesses and did a bunch of stuff. But in the end, I realized that what I loved about property is that you can actually be quite creative. There is an element of play, and I guess that really appealed to me. I wanted to, do something where I could make a difference to people. And eventually I realized that the accounting background hadn't been wasted, and it was a great foundation, but just the way that I apply it was a little different.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that. Having that accounting background, getting into real estate, I'm sure you're able to look at numbers on certain deals and really be creative on that part also, and looking at how you can crunch those numbers to make sense, to make more profit, to save costs and everything else. I'm sure you have a different angle to look at it than I have, or other real estate investors who don't have that accounting background. So you made a transition. Are you doing fix and flips? Are you doing buy and holds? Are you more passive than active? Where are you, in the real estate space?
Look, I was definitely more hands-on and active with my investing when I first started out. I recognize the first few deals that you do as an investor, particularly in our market, which is so expensive, is, will either make or break your experience as an investor. If you put 1 foot wrong and buy, a $500,000, $600,000, $800,000 asset here that's a lemon, you're going to know about it pretty quick. And it's not that you can't recover, but it really slows you down. So, I've certainly been through a few cycles now, and I recognize that, the intensity and interest that you bring will really kind of dictate the results that you get. And so over time, I think if I think about my own wealth, I could have had a much straighter line to success, but I've been more passionate about the play of property and how it works. So I've done some development strategies where, you buy and you renovate, or you buy and you build units and things like that. And they're very, very labor intensive strategies. And, as I get older, I lean more towards the strategies which I perceive to be lower risk, hands off, but where I still have a high degree of control. And that's why things like, the fund that you run appeal greatly, because I'm getting the benefit of working with someone who's highly vetted and skilled, and I trust them to run the projects in a way that feels good for me, but I don't have to be involved day to day.
So you have the best seat at the table, lender.
Best seat in the table. That's it. Love it.
Yeah, it's my oldest son. PC, because I'm out, I have a GSD. I don't have an MBA like most of you guys. Well, I do have an MBA. I have a mega bank account, but I don't have the
That's
certification. I have a
yeah.
GSD. I always say I have a GSD. I get shit done. I'm the guy who go out, make it happen. And my son see how I am, and he's like, Dad, can you teach me the lending part? Like, I don't want to do like dealing with the contractors and dealing with the houses and all that. I want to learn the lending part. So I'm like, okay, so we're working on something now. He's only 16, so I'm slowly but surely giving him some stuff.
Amazing.
Yeah, the lender's the best seat. And I think that, as we do get older, we start looking at those more passive opportunities and really investing in people who have the talent, who are out there, who have the energy to run around and make it happen. So are you doing any commercial or just you really just like syndication deals as far as a multifamily? Are you investing in any of that passively, or are you just investing in just residential 1 through 4 family?
Look, I have done commercial, like we own some commercial property. I've done fix and flip, as you call them. I've done, and that's what I'm saying, like what has interested me more over the last, at least 10, 15 years is trying new things. Like I can see this strategy over here works, but let me go over there and try that strategy there, because I guess I've been really engaged with the diversity that's available within the property, the realm of property investing. There's so many ways to cut the cake. Yeah. And it's really now, like I've worked for some big developers. I've run, all sorts of different strategies over, the course of the last 20 years. But where I am right now is I feel like I've done a few things. Like I got involved in US property probably about 10 years ago now. So I've done a few things in that market as well, and I recognize it's very easy to get cuts and bruises in the US market. They're small cuts, but those small cuts can sometimes hurt just as much. So where I am right now is I'm more interested in developing relationships over time with good people, and working alongside people who have similar mindset, similar value systems and beliefs to me, and who can open the doors to opportunities. And I'm such a huge believer that your network is really the key driver for success as an investor in today's market. Because I don't know about where you are, Fuquan, but where I am, 10, 20 years ago, there were much, much fewer investors. And now it's a crowded marketplace. Like we have so many people who want to be property investors. So the competition for good deals is really fierce. And so if you don't have that network or that relationship in place to bring you the pearl opportunities before everybody else, it's a dog-eat-dog world. It's really hard to get ahead. It's really hard to get above average returns.
Yeah, we're seeing the same thing here, which brings me to my last question is I see that you created, the group, the mastermind that you have. Let's talk a little bit about that, like the type of people that you're attracting there and the value that you're adding.
Yeah, so look, I've made the decision based on years of working in a one-to-one model with, coaching and mentoring lots of people, that the people that I have the most fun with, and that's really, the name of the group is Freedom Warrior, and there's an element of, we've got to be passionate about our wealth. Like if you're apathetic about your wealth creation, you're not going to get great results. You've got to be fierce, and you've got to be passionate. And the people in my experience over the last 10 years that have been most passionate and most fierce are business owners. So people who they've got their businesses to a stage where they're throwing off a lot of cash, and they don't quite know what to do with it to kind of get them the greatest result. They're time poor. They're looking for, an opportunity where they can be in control of their money. They're not handing the car keys to a financial planner or somebody else, or, to a stockbroker. They want to be in control, but they want a leveraged and a fast approach. And so business owners, for me, just because, running a business is hard work, as you know. And so, I feel they have the right value system and mindset to embrace the concepts that I'm teaching.
That's awesome. And it's definitely a value add to have them be able to have options to invest in alternative assets abroad in the U.S. and everywhere that is, really, really strong markets that they can diversify into. So I know
Absolutely.
actually on a couple of podcasts that you did. Let's talk about the podcast also. That's the last thing. I know you do a podcast also. We want our listeners to, find you on, on Facebook, YouTube. Is it on YouTube? Where is the podcast?
So I have a YouTube channel, but really, it's funny that you say I am planning a podcast, which will come out later this year.
Right.
But I have been a guest on many podcasts, so that's probably where you've heard me before.
Oh yeah. Yeah, you were doing a couple of interviews, so I got it now. So
yeah, I've chatted to David Phelps and a bunch of other guys as well.
All right, so you're holding these in the stash to be released.
To be released, yeah. No, I love the idea of it, but my bandwidth. I mean, writing the book just sucked up so much time and energy.
I know it's a lot.
I'm refreshing now, and I'll be all set to release the podcast later this year. So
yeah, for us at PFREI, we created this platform to bring people like yourself on and other professionals, really just as a value add to keep putting content out there for new people who's looking to get involved in real estate to have different perspectives. So, we have some attorneys come on, accountants, really, so the other busy professionals can see that they can do it too. It's not just all about, just staying in the corporate world. They can keep that job they have and still invest into real estate. So the last question is, why are you passionate for real estate investing?
In my experience, having run a lot of different businesses and invested in a lot of different kinds of assets, there's no question, hands down, by a country mile, the returns in terms of leverage and your capacity to multiply and 10x your results in property, just hands down beat everything else. There's creativity, it's fun, and it's really great to see results happening rapidly. At times where I've seen other investors get wiped out by the share market or by stock market crashes, relatively speaking, property investors have been relatively unscathed. So why property? Because it offers a level of stability and protection that you can't get in other businesses or other types of investment.
Awesome. Another great episode of PFREI, A Passion for Real Estate Investing. Please check us out on Instagram and Twitter at A Passion for REI. Like us on Facebook. Follow us on YouTube. Salena, I want to thank you for coming to the show and really sharing your wealth of knowledge and information. And I'm sure we'll be chatting real soon.
Pleasure.